Wow, that's so interesting. Well, that's the end of our uh, programmed questions,
Okay.
and I just wondered, because you seem to have such a very good feel for what we're trying to accomplish in our class. I just wondered if you had maybe a few closing remarks
Well,
before we
I
end.
mean, yeah, right. So I do. I think the most important thing to understand about the Arabs and even more the Muslims in the world and in the United States is how diverse they are. Is how almost any assumption you make about them is going to be wrong, and how the extent to which almost every human experience you can imagine will be found in these communities. And there isn't much of a difference between saying person and saying Arab or Muslim. They're just too large, especially Muslims, the 1/5 of the world. I mean, you will find everything in there. And not just on fringes, but in mainstream of certain cultures and subcultures. So, the point is everything you think you know about someone based on their ethnic or religious identity is liable not to be true in any given situation. So I would deal with all of your patients and clients as individual human beings first and foremost, and work with them to uncover where their cultural background, their life experience, their country of origin, their religious affiliation, their linguistic background, whatever it is that they bring to the table, how that plays into the problems and the solutions that you're confronting together, right? And you'll find ways of doing it, but I would not make any assumptions about people. They're almost always wrong. And one of the hallmarks um, of people who don't mean well in the world, and I'm not here talking about individuals, but sort of one of the things that unites those who would spread fear and hatred of Arabs and Muslims with those in the Arab and Muslim communities who would exercise authority and tyrannical, despotic authority and want to tell everybody what to do, is that they would say Arabs are like this, or Muslims think like this, or Arabs do this and don't do that. Muslims do this and don't do that. That's the kind of rhetoric that comes out of either people who want to spread fear and hatred, or people within those communities who want to tell everybody else what to do and what to say and want to set up their own little tin pot authority and become little dictators.
Mm-hmm.
And so the minute you start hearing that, either it's misguided or it's malevolent. And it's more likely to be malevolent, especially if it comes from anything organized or anyone who ought to know better and has spent any time on the issue. Then you're probably hearing some bad intentions. So definitely view any of that with a great deal of